Hello there, I just want to show everyone here my biomass gasifier here. I've based it on a lot of what I've seen on YouTube, and I've made my own little differences and changes. At this point it's still in trial stages, but I'm getting reasonable success with it, so I thought I'd throw a video up there. So the first thing I asked is, why does the reactor have to be so big? So I went, I kept the 4-inch feed tube, but I downsized the 45-gallon drum, and the results I'm getting are excellent. They really are. And I don't know what anyone else is getting, but everyone has a 4-inch flange on the side there for an access port and a shaker. I've built this one actually compact because I want it to be able to power my yard tractor, which I'm hoping I was hoping to build it small enough that I could actually mount it to the back of the yard tractor. Therefore, a shaker wasn't necessarily needed. And even running stationary, I'm finding the shaker isn't necessary either. The other thing I did differently is I took a funnel, oversized funnel, and a galvanized one, and I cut it to fit in here, and it sits down. And if you look down there, I just have a 2-inch plug with a nipple welded on, and that's how I drain. It works excellent. There's no bolts or anything. It's just spin the cap off and let her go. Now, on this particular design, I made it cyclonic as well, just like the cyclonic filter, and the reactor itself pulls a lot of water out. I don't know if that 45-gallon drum or the 35-gallon drum is doing the same, although you can see how I welded onto the side here to create that cyclonic action, and it also kept this pipe square, just more of a cosmetic. So here's my light hole. Overall, that part worked rather well. No serious ignition trouble or anything, and I'm running the 200 degrees, 220 degrees on there. So into the cyclonic filter, which is again built with the same stuff, but considerably smaller. So I am getting some extraction here. I'm getting more extraction here. What I've done is I've put a valve on the bottom here for my jar, so that because that jar fills reasonably quickly, I can shut this valve while the reactor's still running, dump the jar, and life goes on without interrupted use. I've gone with gate valves for two reasons. The first one being there's no plastic near the gate. Some of those ball valves have plastic, what would you call them, wear plates on them almost. I don't know if it helps to seal them or what, but the other thing is the price. The plumbing, like many guys have mentioned, gets very pricey, and when you can pick up a valve like this for $4.99, it saves a lot, because you do find yourself having a number of valves on here. So, and maybe this not being necessary, but it is, from what I understand, very critical that we don't get oxygen into the system. So this here is just going to prevent that and let you carry on. So anyway, we got our jar there. We come through our cyclonic filter, and we go up into the army boxes, which are filters. I've experimented a little bit with the filters, and originally I had put steel wool in, but I found that steel wool actually plugs up quickly. I've only got about 3 hours of runtime complete total on this thing here. I'm still learning, but I have found that it does plug reasonably quickly, and the media, well, this is my first filter basket, filter number 1, and it's obviously doing its job, but it's not. I'm not getting a lot of duration out of it. And as soon as you lose your vacuum or your airflow through the system, the production of the system goes down dramatically. So I've got steel wool all over, and I decided that that's not the way, or this is actually the first time I'm gonna try it without the steel wool. I'm gonna see how it works. This is the material from filter number 2, and as you can see, that's 3 hours, and it is very wet, and it's very dirty. In fact, places of it they're just clumped together from the extraction. So what I've done is I've changed this one here. Just grab a rag here. I've changed this one here. I'm actually going to do my primary filter with wood pellets, and in my secondary filter I've done it with spruce and oak wood shavings / sawdust. So I'm hoping that's going to help. And the reason I have all these filters here is these are easily accessible. I've got a big one down here which I'll get to, which is the one I'm trying to protect from having to change often. So however it is, it comes out here. By the time it gets here, it's at 45 degrees. So you'll see I've switched over to ABS pipe, which what I was trying to accomplish here is an easily accessible filter that can be easily cleaned out and changed without having to tear the system down. So what I did is I brought it down here into this Y, and of course it drains into a jar, and I had steel wool here, and this is all filled with sawdust, and then more steel wool up here. I've got an access cap on the top, and this is actually just a sink drain. It's flipped upside down, drilled a hole through the top of the lid, siliconed her on, so I can just quick attach here. I just spin this nut off, pull that out, and I have full access up in there. And the idea, the concept works very well. However, I did have to pull the sawdust out last night. I was having issues. It turns out that wasn't the issue, but I did soon realize that it is tough to get the sawdust back out of here because it does pack when you push on it. So I think at this point, I run it last night with nothing in here, and I extracted a bunch of water here. I'll show you. This is on about a half an hour of runtime, and that is I don't know if it's just water, but I've tried to burn it. It's not flammable. This is coming off of this comes straight off the Cyclone filter, and this stuff here, I'll show you where this stuff comes from. It's a little bit different, and it is flammable, but I think it's the tar, because when it burns orange. So it's probably a good thing that I'm getting that out of there. I'm keeping this out of my engine. And the way I look at it, an extra filter is a lot cheaper than tearing your engine apart and freeing up your valves or whatever it is that might have failed. So with that, we'll go back over here. So we're cooling right now in this ABS pipe. We're doing more cooling and would you call it condensating, and the moisture is sticking to the pipe, of course, and it's running back down to the jar. So regardless of it not filtering anything, I could put P-rock or marbles or something in here to give it something more to stick to, and I just might do that, but at this point I'm going to run it here soon, and I am not going to do that yet until I run the system to make sure everything else is working fine. So we come back down through here and into my pail filter, which is filled again with sawdust. This pipe just goes in down to the bottom of the pail. It's got a beveled end on it, and then it's got about 4 half-inch, or no, I'd say 8 half-inch holes in it, closer to the bottom. From there, it comes over to this bulkhead, and the bulkhead, I had, once again, I had steel wool in there and on the end there, and this is the one that gave me the grief. It plugged up on me. Because I don't have any unions here, I kind of have to work the pipe around in the sawdust to get it threaded onto here, and that's actually what plugged the pipe. It with the all the contaminants in the steel wool as well. Like you can see, that stuff is pretty loaded up compared to a new piece that's right there. So anyway, down through this filter. This filter is the mother lode. She is what's really making the difference on my gas quality. I run the gasifier last night in the dark because I couldn't see the flames, and I didn't realize it, but this filter wasn't working properly. I had no sawdust around this pipe, so it was just coming straight up and through, and I had a lot of orange tips on the flame. Nice blue base, but a lot of orange tips, and I think that's why. So I gently spread some sawdust in around there, and so now we come up through here. Now this here is actually where I was pressure testing the system, but actually all it'll be in the end here is there'll just be a gate valve here that isn't plastic, and it will go to a 1-inch output line for smaller engines. And as we keep going here, we go up into this 1-inch, inch and a half line. That's for bigger engines. I don't know which one I'm going to have to run the tractor on. Kind of a trial and error thing at this point. You'll notice everything is in 2-inch up to here, and then it drops to 1.5 inch. Simply because these valves, these ones are 20. The ball valves can be as high as 32, I think, is the going rate for the ball valve. So if you can save yourself $15 on a valve, and these gates are working really well. But here's another point I want to make, is when I come up here, a lot of guys are putting rheostats on their motors, and I just wanted to point out that you can control the flow of the motor simply by a valve in front of it, and a lot of guys have that valve and they're still using the rheostat, so it's kind of an unnecessary expense, if you will. So I just control my airflow with this valve here into my blower fan. I got her all sealed up now, and out she goes from the blower fan and up and out the flare. So just food for thought, you don't have to worry about this touching this because your heat is actually up there, unless you have an oxygen leak and your flame comes back down inside the tube, then you would be concerned here. So it's been told, or I've been instructed, that air leaks are very critical, and I couldn't agree more. It's almost a scary feeling when that flame goes down in there and she turns into a flamethrower. She starts growling and growling, and then she pops. So anyway, this is the blower system where the fan is controlled. But what I've noticed is the fan extracts more tar. It almost, the impellers beating on the smoke extracts more tar. So what I have is my fan is directly above, if you follow this down, another jar. And that jar is where I'm getting that flammable material. All these fluid levels are from, I'd say, I better say about half hour to 45 minutes, and that's what I've extracted. Now before, I had a lot of trouble last night because I had a plug filter and I didn't realize it. This stuff here was like molasses. You couldn't even, it would just set up, and extremely like a paste, and it was very flammable. This stuff is flammable, but it's almost like I had, with the issues I had last night, I didn't get a good sample of that. So I'm going to run it again here today and see if that comes out any differently. But anyway, that is my system. The motors just at this point run off my battery charger. I like it because I can cool down or whatever with the timer, and I can just go in the house, you know, set the timer for an hour, hour and a half, and just let her run. And if I go from a 2 amp 12 volt setting to a 10 amp 12 volt setting, it actually beefs up my fan. So I'm like at this point I'm still in testing stages, but I am getting some pretty decent results. This pail is a plastic pail with the lid that snaps off. You just pull off that retaining ring, and there is actually a rubber seal around here, and if you keep it clean, when you put your sawdust in, keep it clean, it actually seals up. When I do a pressure test on here, I can only put a pound or two in, and this pail is just swelling. The other thing you'll notice, I don't have a clamp here because this pipe fits perfectly snug, like really snug, in the actual mouth there. Now I'm sure I have a bit of an air leak around here, just a little guy. So that's food for thought. These bulkheads aren't really cheap, so you don't really want to be putting those everywhere. But I think it would be a good investment to put a bulkhead here and have it come up into a union, and a union here, and then it would be easily removable filter. Even the way it is now, it's not so bad. It's just you have to pop the lid and then pull the pail away from the machine. You tip the machine up a little bit and it comes out quite easily, but it's not the most user-friendly system. Once I do get my nice blue flame here, I'm going to run the gasifier outside, and I'm going to run a hose into the shop, and I'm going to hook it up to my tractor and test it, make sure that it's going to be capable of running my yard tractor. And then what I'll do is I'll even try and compact this thing even smaller, so that it's a little bit more user friendly on the tractor, because I don't want to be pulling it behind the tractor on a trailer, because you'd be spending more time backing the trailer up. So I'd like it to mount to a frame, and then I'll just mount it to the front of the tractor or something, and then with any luck I'm going to leave the tractor on gasoline as well. That way if you do run out of bio, you can switch over back to gas to at least get the tractor home. So anyway, that's where I'm at for now here. I might throw a video on here of a burn, and it's daylight out right now, so with any luck, we won't even see the flame. But I'm going to take her out here and try her, and hopefully I find this video helpful, and thanks for watching.